Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the SkinArtJ YouTube channel. My name is Alana, and I'm joined today by Jay herself, the principal tattoo artist at SkinArtJ. Hi, Jay.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Apparently a little sleepy, but we're doing quite well.
Well, sleepy is better than a lot of things.
Oh, I agree.
Excellent. Well, let's jump right into the topic. We are going to be talking about the tattoo artist today. We're going to be talking about you.
Okay.
So despite how sleepy you might be, I think this is a topic you can crack out of the ballpark.
Just bear with a little bit more facial expressions.
No worries. Let's start off with our quote of the day. There is nothing more precious than laughter. It is strength to laugh and lose oneself, to be light. And that is said by Frida Kahlo, the famous female artist. I love her work, and I love this quote from her.
I would strongly agree with that because it's the medicine. Like, laughter allows the soul to move a lot more lightly. And it is just, we have proven it through science that it is important for our lives.
Yeah, I love that. It's important. So the stat for today is the average tattoo artist has no specific degree, learning primarily through a 1 to 3 year apprenticeship, focusing on art fundamentals, sanitation, as well as client care. Formal schooling isn't required, but rigorous hands-on training with a mentor covering hygiene, equipment, and design is the key educational path, often taking hundreds to thousands of hours per tattoo artist. Would you say that's an accurate statement?
More or less, I would say roughly it would be. Each apprenticeship is very different and is very much varying depending on the individual and how they perceive the thought of how it should go. Mine was a little different from that, so that's where I would say it varies.
When you're ready to get your next tattoo, you not only want an artist that has a style that you appreciate, but has the training and experience necessary, not just to draw art well, but to do tattoos well. Since this is art that is going to be embedded into your skin, you should ensure that you hire the best artist for the job.
In general, it's something you'll repeatedly see with many artists stating, like, do your research, make sure that who you are approaching is someone that you can put that trust into and that you know that you are going to get the results that you seek. More often than not, we do hear stories of people that have put their trust into someone, and unfortunately, as it goes with technology, there is ways or trickery that is bestowed upon people with what can be done. Example, I just seen an artist named Jillian, and she works out of BC. She made a post or a video of sharing the story of her client who they themselves had a mistake where they reached out to an artist. They thought the portfolio was really strong, to find out it wasn't that artist's work at all.
Oh, no.
And they didn't receive what they thought they would receive. And in turn, found this other artist after going through this trial of seeing what it's like and finding an artist that is way better suited for what they were wanting and the outcome, and receiving a cover-up that is absolutely gorgeous, but had to go through that struggling process first. Ideally, we want to eliminate people having to go through that struggling process.
Right. So how would you suggest someone find a good artist? Is it just going through their social media? Is it meeting the artist in person? What would you suggest?
I would definitely, if you can, suggest meet them in person, get a vibe or get a rapport of the interaction and seeing if that even aligns with how you want to go about carrying the process, and being able to open up questions to them and seeing how they respond to that. If there is some form of defensiveness or if there is some form of hesitation in answering these questions, that might be a sign that it's not the best fit that you think it is.
Right.
In the same aspect, if They are just demanding a deposit without any communication or any accountability that can be properly traced to where they're at. So example, you'll see some artists claim that they work out at X studio within the city, and then you'll see these studios come to light saying like, no, we don't know who this person is. This is an imposter. They don't work out of our studio, and we have cross-checked with other studios that they've claimed to work out, and they haven't worked out of those. So like, heads up to the community that there is frauds lurking about. Even right now with the tattoo convention, there is posts being made of stating that it's the tattoo convention, but they're AI generated images with the claims that it's the tattoo show, with an email set up to try to dupe people and try to get money from either artists or from clients. So it's very much something to be aware of, that if you are approaching from online, make contact, communicate, get all the information that you can. Don't rush into anything. If you can, meet the person in person so that you know that it is accountable to who is actually behind that screen, and then make your decision from that point. I ideally do like to set up consultations so that I can have an interaction one-on-one, because as I've personally experienced, and I've been told by many, texting is a much different kind of dialogue or connect for how people can communicate. And there's a lot of miscommunication that can happen through it. So I personally prefer in person.
Right.
Even if there is no in person, I'm still willing to do stuff like video calls to make sure that you can still see the person behind the screen.
Right. So it's not just understanding that they are an artist that has art that you appreciate and have a personality that you get along with, but making sure that they're in fact tattoo artists that aren't just in it to get your deposit money.
Yes.
Wow. I wouldn't have even thought that there were accounts out there just trying to dupe people into giving them a deposit fee and then disappearing.
It's become quite atrociously wild and quite popular through the uprising of how the industry is transforming currently and how we do rely so much on social media. So it is seeing a different approach or a different way for people to try to scam people and try to get that money.
Wow. All right. Well, that's great information. Make sure that you've connected with the artist, that you've had a conversation with them, that you've contacted the studio that they say that they work out of to make sure that they do, and that when you meet them, that you're making sure that their art as well as their personality is a good fit for you.
Ideally, yes.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's start off with the first question that we have for today. What city are you in, and how long have you been tattooing here?
So I'm located in Edmonton, Alberta, in Canada. I've done my apprenticeships here in Edmonton, and I've continued my practice within Edmonton. I have not yet traveled too much outside of Edmonton with my tattooing practice. I've gone a little bit with doing Calgary and a little bit in Red Deer, but I haven't overly expanded yet, which I do plan to change with the upcoming year to 2 years coming.
That's exciting. And how long have you been tattooing for?
I started my career when I was 19. It's been quite a few years. I'm 32 now. It's been an ongoing process since then, and just learning about environments, learning about mindsets, learning about the craft, learning about the mixture of information that's out there. Because as I have learned through my experiences, people will have a lot of things that they say to do. Not always can they answer why. And I'm very much a curious individual that I like to understand the why behind what I'm doing and why it is the best approach. Some things I've taken and implemented in my own practice as I've gone, and other things I have let go of, knowing that it is something that I understand where it comes from, and I know that it may not be the best approach to getting the results that I want to see.
Good to know. And do you have any formal arts education? I know that you have your apprenticeship, but do you have any other formal arts education?
I have gone to fine arts with Grant MacEwan, and then I'm also in an oil painting class currently.
Excellent. And how are you enjoying that?
Loving it.
Yeah.
It's very much a grounding experience that allows me to just enjoy the moment and apply my artistic skill in another medium that is going to just overall make me a better artist.
Excellent. And what are you learning in the oil painting class right now?
How I'm blocking in things and how I can get certain techniques or finding the different tonal ranges and how to be very patient with things drying.
I heard the oil takes a long time to dry.
It is a very much a good lesson in patience.
Excellent. So talk a little bit about your apprenticeship. I know you mentioned it a little bit. How long was it? What types of things did you learn in the apprenticeship?
My apprenticeship was not the classical stuff that you might see nowadays where there is actual gratitude expressed towards the apprentice. I had some individuals, as I was told, or how it was framed to me, have older mindsets. So when I first started, it was with a studio that is no longer existing anymore. It was a studio that had taken on a gentleman that's bilingual, so primarily French, very hot-tempered. Found out through my experience that this individual wasn't necessarily committed to the craft itself. But I did learn fundamental stuff of part of running a business, being that I would commonly be left alone in the studio to tend to the space, even when they weren't there and it was a brand new space, and managing clients and interacting with them, to also cleaning and the setups and making sure things are up to code, to even with a little bit of tattooing people and getting some hands-on experience with a coil machine. So I very much had, as they like to say, an old school apprenticeship from that point, and learned the coil by tearing it down and putting it back together. Since then, I have also taken seminars in coil machines just because I'm curious. I've heard many people have their opinions on that it's useless knowledge and it's useless in the sense of spending money on it because there's no need. I still like to learn it just for the understanding of how far we've come to understanding the machine, that if for whatever reason I ever do need it, I can go back to what I've already been experienced to. Then I also learned just general, more or less, the start of what kind of artists I want to be surrounded with.
Right.
Those individuals at that point were not very kind. They were very much into, as some might label it, the rock star phase of tattooing, where they had very much a strong notion that they were the biggest and best within the city and would commonly go out and party and enjoy themselves in other activities. From there, it didn't end well. I found out that my mentor at that point had left and there was no word of him leaving. It was a little surprise. And I met with some silent partners to discover where I was at that point. I then moved on to another person who I continued doing more of an apprenticeship because I wanted to be more seasoned in learning about the craft and not just go blindly at it, where I know some people have just started in their house and gone about things. I wanted to take it a different approach, to be in a studio that I would think would teach me a lot more about things. With that, I stayed with that studio for 5 years. I would not say it was a positive experience by the end of it either. There was a lot of bullying. There was a lot of degrading and humiliation. And there was a lot of inability to explain a lot of things, where they would say, I have to do something a certain way. Yet when questioned why I had to approach it in that manner or why it would give me that result, I would often get yelled at and just told to continue doing what I was told and stop asking.
Wow.
I don't work well with that. I'm very much a curious person. I like to know why. I couldn't understand why I was getting into so much issues with being curious. So with that mentorship, I did learn a lot in the aspect of, I learned the autoclave. I learned how to document. I learned how to interact with clients. I learned through my own volition of how to do artwork, as I was driven by my own drive to continue growing and understanding artwork. They themselves were not capable of expressing in detail artwork and breaking it down to how or why it flowed the best on the body this way or that way. I also learned what to look for when people don't want you to grow past their limits and how they will navigate it so that it's to their benefit, but to your detriment. I learned how if a person is very closed off to you keeping in touch with your own clients so that you can provide the best service or the best care for them, that it is likely a controlling kind of tactic. I learned how a person can be very upset at you for wanting something different, something healthier, and to not be in an environment that constantly was tearing you down. It led me to a lot of different decisions on how I now approach working with people, and taught me a lot about psychology. It's kickstarted a lot of my own healing journey, which I'm thankful for that. It has taught me a lot about what people I simply can't be around anymore, being that I can't be their savior and I can't keep exposing myself to something that is going to be harmful for me in the long run.
Right.
And I also learned how clients are also subjugated to a lot of that mistreatment alongside the artist, because it doesn't just stop at the artist. It impacts the whole business and how things get run or how people go about things. So through that apprenticeship, I learned what not to do, and I learned how not to be and what to look for when engaging with people. I learned a lot more through the people aspect, not through a healthy direction, but through understanding why someone would do something like that and why they would choose what they did to another for their own personal gain. That has led me to create my own inner strength to be able to create a business that is standing on everything that has come from before and pouring back into those who have gone through their own challenges or their own struggles that have brought them to tears and have challenged them in their own ways to grow past what another has tried to keep them within. So that apprenticeship did teach me a lot in the personal aspect, and it also taught me a lot about my own artwork and having more self-trust of how I go about my process and how I go about my artwork, and knowing that even though someone might keep everything that I have created before, they can't stop me from continuing to create.
Right. Well, it's unfortunate that you didn't have the best apprenticeship experience. And I guess that's part of the danger of it not being like a secondary school course that you could take. But it sounds like you learned a lot, not just how to do things correctly, but also how you want to continue in the future.
Very much so. It's taught me a lot in many aspects, and it has shown me that there is a change coming about our industry, and there is more and more people now speaking out and saying that these kind of behaviors aren't okay and that these are bully techniques and these are not healthy for anyone, and that we welcome the change. We want the change because how it used to be doesn't mean how it has to be.
Exactly. And you can be part of that change of having a studio that's healthy and welcoming, and you're not going to perpetuate any of the mistakes.
Precisely.
I know you are really intentional about how you want your studio to feel, the vibe of it, and welcoming, and not allowing certain negative experiences to happen in your location. And I really like that you've come to that, how important it is in your practice.
Thank you.
So have you had any other tattoo education outside of your apprenticeship? Have you continued that education in some way?
I still continue expanding my knowledge, both with the painting, learning more about the drawing, and also the tattooing aspect, where I have taken multiple seminars now. I've taken Sega seminar, I've taken J Freestyle seminar, and I've taken a seminar that was held right before one of the conventions a year or two ago, where it was Jessica, Jack Aska, and a few others who were doing a black and gray seminar. So I've, in general, taken quite a few, and I do intend to continue taking seminars, as I like to learn. I like to see their approach. And it's fascinating seeing how certain techniques are also held within each seminar, and seeing what's really like a key fundamental that I'm taking away, and seeing how they're approaching things.
Excellent. I love that. And how do you see your art evolving since you first started to now?
It's evolved in many ways. At first, I didn't know which direction I was headed. I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do. I just knew I loved drawing, and I knew that I wanted to tattoo. Now I'm at a space that I'm not 100% certain if it is exactly where I would define my own craft or how I go about things. But I very much have a love for neotraditional, illustrative, and geometric, either black and gray or color. I've watched it evolve from more basic drawings to more complex things, where I'm constantly challenging my skill set. I'm finding things I enjoy as I try to identify or to choose words for, finding that a lot of my artwork either leans into super dark and spooky, or something super light and playful, or a mashup in between. So I like to, as I view it, find that balance of both sides of the light and the dark.
I love that so much, the light and the dark. I think some of my favorite pieces of yours have that balance.
I'm curious to which ones those are.
Let's talk offline about that. I need another tattoo, I think.
Sounds good.
Excellent. And I hear that you're offering a lower hourly rate right now. What's that about?
So right now I have a promotion going where it is a lower hourly rate to really focus and dive into the neo-traditional and geometric side. My hourly rate usually is at $175, and then depending on the piece and where we're going with something, I talk individually to the people about their piece, and then from there, I'm willing to go lower than my usual hourly to show my appreciation for their willingness to lean into this side of the artwork and the styles that I'm really captured by to continue with.
Excellent. I love that you've really started growing right from the beginning, and you continue to do that through your artwork.
I believe that we are never done growing. It's something that's a continual life journey, and our artwork is capturing those moments.
Love it. So if you'd like to get a tattoo by SkinArtJ, all you have to do is find her website or her social media and book a consultation. And what are your social media and website?
So TikTok is SkinArtJ. Also Instagram is SkinArtJ. I have Facebook, which is SkinArtJ. Email is skinartj@gmail. And then I have my website, which is SkinArtJTattoos.com.
Excellent. So what can people expect for booking a consultation? How far out are you booking right now?
At the moment, I'm booking into March, later in March, for consultations. There is a few spots left open for earlier March if people are wanting to get tattoos. And then otherwise, we're even starting to trickle into April for some bookings.
Excellent. So expect an hour. So if you're thinking of that tattoo, I would really recommend to book in sooner rather than later so that you can get that perfect piece as soon as you possibly can. Well, thank you so much for joining me again today, Jay.
Thank you.
Any parting words?
Also, if people are interested in getting tattooed at the convention, I would suggest now is the time to start reaching out so that we can collaborate and have the piece ready for those 3 days and get the ball rolling.
Perfect. And what are the days?
We're doing April 17th to the 19th.
Excellent. So get your consultations in, contact Jay for some artwork, set up your tattoo appointment. And if you like this video, hit like, share it with people that you know that want to get tattoos, and hit subscribe so that you can get all of the newest content as soon as it's released. Thanks, everyone.